Thank you for joining us for this look at the best original reporting from KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Coming up in this newscast, COVID-19 and its impact on Filipino Americans. Kitty Alvarado looks at the unique effects on a community that makes up a large portion of our healthcare workers. UC San Diego is back on campus and its student body is as big as ever. Melissa May will tell us about the growing pains for students as enrollment continues to soar. And should jaywalking be a crime? Andrew Bowen explains why the governor vetoed a bill that would end ticketing amid a larger discussion around traffic safety. First, some progress for the county's climate action plan. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson tells us about some new steps being taken to deal with how our region grows.
We're in Escondido, right across from the transit center.
J.P. Thaberge stands next to the West Valley Parkway.
We have a brewery, brew pub over here. We have a bunch of retail down that way, all within walking distance. We have a supermarket. We have fast food, we have restaurants.
But the focal point for Thaberge is the new apartment complex across the street from the transit center. He says it's the kind of development urban planners talk about when they discuss smart growth, the idea that clustering housing and services is the way to plan for the future.
In the same footprint that you might have like 3 or 4 homes, because this is actually not even that big a lot, you can have 250 units. And the advantage is that people who do live here, you know, they're not paying rock bottom prices. These are nice units.
It is exactly the opposite of the kind of housing development major builders have spent a lot of money pushing for in San Diego County. Sprawling backcountry housing tracts that plop homes into rural parts of the county would add huge numbers of vehicle trips to local roadways. That hurts state-mandated efforts to reduce carbon emissions because cars and trucks are the biggest source of greenhouse gases. That's why urban developments like the one in Escondido are exactly what environmentally conscious planners see as the future.
Less driving, more of this means less driving, less pollution locally, and also less contribution to greenhouse gases, which is what the state is desperately trying to get every jurisdiction to do.
San Diego County is hoping to be carbon neutral before the state requires it in 2045. That's where the County Climate Action Plan can play a key role. That planning document will draw the roadmap that will help the county grow and reduce the amount of greenhouse gases that are emitted. San Diego County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher says the county has famously tried to do the bare minimum when it comes to building a climate action plan. He says the current board is changing that.
Given the number of times that the courts have thrown it out, I think it's really important we get it right.
The Climate Action Plan is just one part of a regional strategy aimed at charting the county's future. The document will have to work with the San Diego County General Plan changes, housing forecasts set by the San Diego Association of Governments, and include San Diego County plans to reduce the number of vehicle miles traveled on local roads. Fletcher says carving out a legally defensible plan takes effort.
We're doing the really hard, difficult, gritty work of putting these pieces together so that we can both meet our region's housing need and we can meet the environmental obligations we have.
Wednesday's meeting is the second time staff has updated supervisors on the Climate Action Plan. That's a change from the past, but Fletcher concedes the process still takes time.
We don't expect to complete our climate action plan until sometime in probably 2024, but we are working diligently to get it in place and to lower greenhouse gas emissions and do our part to tackle climate change.
We have to make sure at every level of government, we're taking unprecedented action as fast as possible to slash emissions and to prioritize climate justice.
Noah Harris works for the San Diego Climate Action Campaign. He's not encouraged by the long timeline, but he is pleased the county is talking about a commitment to decarbonize the region. And Harris says that's good for San Diego residents who usually feel the impact of bad planning.
We know that the climate crisis and environmental injustices have and will impact low-income communities and communities of color first and worst. So the county should prioritize all of those climate action investments in those historically underinvested communities. And that's something that they've been signaling they want to do, and we want to keep pushing them to make sure that they are using the cap to achieve climate justice.
County staff included residents, environmentalists, and developers in the planning process. Harris says it's better to have disagreements worked out in a planning room than in a courtroom.
After, several years of fighting for a legally defensible climate action plan at the county, I'm optimistic, but we still need to keep pushing.
County staff will continue working with hopes of having a finished plan in place by 2024. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
Transportation is a big piece of the climate puzzle, from the number of cars on our roads to making sure those roads are safe for pedestrians and other forms of transit. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen has two stories for us in a moment. The inequities when it comes to jaywalking tickets. We start with a controversial decision to widen what's already a dangerous stretch of road in San Diego.
The widening of a block of El Cajon Boulevard in City Heights was approved in 2018. Mayor Todd Gloria's office said recently the project was under review to determine if it's in line with his goals. But late Tuesday night, his office told KPBS the project was outside the city's control, and trying to halt the widening could expose the city to a lawsuit. Darnell Williams owns DOJO Cafe on the block in question. With the sidewalk now closed, he fears for pedestrians, especially children and seniors.
I don't know what the plan was as far as watching out for the pedestrians and really keeping them in mind, but this street is very busy and it's used a lot by the students and a lot of the people of City Heights, and we just don't want to see something tragic happen here.
Some residents of Talmadge say the widening is needed to relieve congestion and prevent motorists from cutting through neighborhood streets. Williams says he thinks it will only expose pedestrians and motorists to more danger.
I've had to call 911 multiple times with the amount of accidents that we see, or near accidents. And so widening the street, I don't foresee that making this a safer place.
Mayor Gloria says he generally does not support widening roads in urban environments, and that he'll order city staff to scrutinize all similar projects across the city to see if they're consistent with his goals of sustainability and traffic safety. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News. Wait. We've all done it. You're trying to cross the street, but the light is taking forever. Or maybe the nearest crosswalk is an absurdly long detour. No cars are around, so you look both ways and jaywalk. Most of the time, it's harmless, and most of the time, getting a ticket for jaywalking isn't a big concern. That's not how things played out for Robert DONMOYER.
I think it was May 3rd. I was coming back from the dentist. It was midday, and I walked across the street here.
DONMOYER says he wasn't jaywalking. He was in the crosswalk and says he made it to the other side of Robinson Avenue in Hillcrest before the red hand signal went from flashing to solid. But a San Diego police officer says he was jaywalking and wrote him a ticket. She told him police were stepping up jaywalking enforcement because of a rise in pedestrian collisions.
I didn't want to debate it, but I said, gee, I haven't seen much of that, particularly in the daytime here. I have seen lots of people blatantly running red lights, and I've almost been hit on a number of occasions by people blatantly running red lights when I had the right to cross, and I've learned to be very, very cautious.
DONMOYER plans on contesting his ticket in a trial next year. Bogus or not, his jaywalking ticket was one of more than 5,000 given to pedestrians in San Diego since 2015. And those tickets disproportionately targeted black people. 16% of the tickets went to blacks, even though they make up only 6% of the city's population. Similar racial disparities exist in cities across California.
Black people are disproportionately affected by almost every type of criminalization.
Ann Rios is an attorney and executive director of Uprise Theater, a nonprofit that educates people on their legal rights. She says the disparities are proof of racial bias among San Diego police officers. Black people are also overrepresented in the homeless community, which she says is a frequent target of jaywalking tickets. And blacks are more likely to live in neighborhoods that lack safe and abundant crosswalks.
So when you're dealing with a landscape that doesn't have safe areas for you to cross the street anyway, jaywalking is going to become acceptable or the norm. The true issue is that the community doesn't have the appropriate support for pedestrian travel.
Racial justice activists like Rios have been trying to decriminalize jaywalking in California for years. They say jaywalking laws only punish behavior that's usually logical and safe. Advocates for safer streets argue more streetlights, crosswalks, and traffic calming measures are much more effective at protecting pedestrians, and law enforcement should crack down on dangerous driver behavior instead. But the latest effort at decriminalization failed this month with Governor Gavin Newsom's veto of AB 1238. That bill would have legalized jaywalking as long as there's no oncoming traffic. It was opposed by law enforcement groups, who said it would encourage unsafe pedestrian behavior, and the California Coalition for Children's Safety and Health. Here's that group's program director, Steve Barrow, speaking at a Senate committee hearing in June.
We need children growing up understanding how to appropriately get through our really busy streets, and that is adhering to red lights, crossing at the crosswalks, not jaywalking, and paying attention to all the pedestrian traffic safety laws.
Robert DONMOYER, who's white and works as a university professor, acknowledges he has privileges that others who get jaywalking tickets probably don't have. He can take time off work to fight his ticket in court, and he knew to look up the exact California Vehicle Code violation to see if it matches what really happened. He's ambivalent about whether jaywalking should be legalized, but he doesn't think tickets and fines are an effective way to protect pedestrians.
I couldn't help but wonder, were they trying to beef up revenue? I mean, I'm not accusing because I don't really know, but it was certainly a thought that crossed my mind, particularly when I saw the amount of the ticket.
That amount he'll have to pay if he loses in court, $197. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
And here are some of the most popular stories this week for our online audience. KPBS Midday Edition talks about the steps San Diego is taking to make its roads safer for cyclists after a string of deadly crashes. Opponents to San Diego's new ghost gun ban wanted it thrown out by the courts, but this week a federal judge denied their request. And investigative reporter Amitha Sharma interviews one of the leaders of a controversial right-wing political group in East County. For most of us, it's just something we take for granted, a place to keep our money. Yet there is a significant number of Californians who don't have that access. KPBS race and equity reporter Christina Kim explores how public banking might provide that bit of financial security and if it can work in San Diego.
California is taking the first steps to create a statewide public banking option that could help its estimated 1 million households that don't have bank accounts. Most of these households are Black or Latino.
I grew up in a household where they kept money at home because financial institutions were foreign. And so you take a look at what I now know and my experience, and it makes sense that we should tackle one of the biggest barriers in this fight against income inequality, which is...
That's Los Angeles Assembly member Miguel Santiago. He authored the new law, AB 1177, along with San Diego Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez. It will set up a commission to study how to create a public banking option. He hopes that will lead to the creation to what he's calling Cal accounts.
This will allow consumers in the state of California to get a zero fee, zero cost, zero penalty savings account, checking account, banking account that's currently not available, and then one that they can trust that is not after creating the highest profit.
So what does public banking really mean? It includes public-facing banks that individuals can use for normal banking business. That's what the new law is exploring. It could also be government-owned banks that cities or state agencies could use to deposit their funds and then finance public projects like bike lanes, housing, or other public goods. Here in San Diego, County Supervisor Tara Lawson-Reamer says public banking options could address income inequality.
We know that it's easier to get access to capital if you already have capital. So we're really stuck in a pretty vicious cycle of inequality. And I think we should need to be looking every tool in the toolbox to break that cycle.
Nationwide, there are only 2 public banks, one in North Dakota and the other in the territory of American Samoa. In 2019, a California law paved the way for up to 10 local governments to charter public banks. This month, the Los Angeles City Council passed a motion to start drafting a business plan for a public bank. And San Francisco is also not far behind. San Diego could be one of the state's 10 pilot programs. But Jeff Olson, a local public bank advocate, is worried San Diego will miss out on the opportunity.
San Diego has famously procrastinated so long on some things that we've lost out big time. I don't have to remind anybody that we waited so long to build a stadium that we no longer have a football team.
In the last round of budget proposals, 6 San Diego council members said they were interested in exploring a public bank option, but it's not in the city or county budget yet. Joel Day is running for city council in District 6. He included public banking as part of his housing platform.
We need an all hands on deck to deal with infrastructure crisis and housing. We can do that by putting public money into a public bank to then work with those public assets to address the big crises of our time, like building affordable housing. A public bank allows us to do that much more efficiently than asking Wall Street to hold our money.
But not everyone in San Diego likes the idea. In a 2020 San Diego Union Tribune article, economists from Sandag and several professors from major local universities said they were against the idea. Private sector leaders like Michael Lee, a principal at Cardiff Consulting Services, agrees with their concerns.
I think a reason that a lot of advocates like the idea of a bank like this is they're going to lend to activities and individuals and entities that, the private sector isn't lending to now. Well, there's a reason why the private sector doesn't lend there, and it's oftentimes that there's more risk associated with that.
While local leaders debate setting up a public bank, California is pressing ahead. The statewide study has to be done by 2024. Cristina Kim, KPBS News.
More students than ever are enrolled at UCSD. KPBS reporter Melissa May went to the campus and found some growing pains in serving 42,000 students.
UC San Diego is the second largest UC campus and has increased its student body by over 2,300 students from last fall.
More people that come here, it just becomes more crowded. It just becomes a little bit more difficult to maneuver.
ALEXIS Damian is a fifth-year student at UCSD's Marshall College and commutes to campus from the South Bay.
I drive, but sometimes I just get dropped off just because it's easier. And like I said, parking here sucks. It's difficult to find parking, so I usually just get dropped off.
UCSD does provide students with a free bus pass, but for those who drive, parking is difficult. Another challenge on campus? Grabbing a bite to eat.
20, 25, 26.
Students are encouraged to use the Triton to Go mobile ordering app to order food from the dining halls. But freshman Anna Norris says that is difficult sometimes.
So all the dining halls close at 8. So if you didn't order food by 6, you were not getting dinner from the dining halls because of how long the wait times were.
The school does offer free Grubhub membership with no delivery fee, and there are some markets on campus. The Price Center is open later than the other dining halls, but lines are sometimes long, and finding a place to sit can be tough. And then there's trying to enroll in classes.
As a humanities major, other people have definitely had a harder time than me, but I will say it still has been difficult, especially fulfilling GE requirements. Everyone else here is also trying to fulfill those same requirements.
Rain Ying Fong has school pride, but is not considering UCSD for her master's, based on her experience as an undergrad.
Resources you can get is limited, and I have to spend too much time on waiting everything, waiting for a spot, waiting for getting enrolled in a class.
Fong thinks there is an imbalance between the number of students and the number of professors.
For office hour, students have to wait in line to wait for their turns, and each slot every student can get, it's about 15 minutes if in a big class.
More than 12,200 undergrad students live on campus. As of October 13th, only 72 upper division undergrads are on the wait list for housing. Melissa May, KPBS News.
Getting kids safely to school is a challenge in parts of North County. It's all part of the worker shortage affecting service jobs in many lines of work. Education reporter MG Perez reports on how one district is trying to recruit school bus drivers.
You're making sure that your windshield wiper is in good shape.
Sung Lee is getting to know every inch of this school bus, from windshield wipers to exit doors. Lee is one of a dozen new trainees here at the Poway Unified School District's Transportation Department. The district is short of more than 40 school bus drivers needed to accommodate every student requiring transportation. Most of them are children with special needs, like 6-year-old Eleanor, Lee's daughter, and the inspiration for his temporary career change. He's clear on his mission.
Make it a fun ride, I guess. A fun and safe ride. It's the first part of their day and the last part of their day.
it's important to kind of have that be the face of the school as well.
Lee is putting his real estate business on the back burner for this school bus training. The Poway District is serious about getting as many new school bus drivers behind the wheel as soon as possible. The job offers full benefits, and it does not require a commercial license to start the program. The Poway program offers 30 hours of classroom training and all the required curriculum to obtain a Class B commercial license with medical training and certification to drive a school bus. There's an additional 30 hours of driver's training, too. The Help Wanted sign is up, and district officials are aggressively seeking applicants for the job, with a starting pay rate of $19.30 an hour, topping off at $23.52 an hour. There are plenty of openings.
At the start of this school year, we collapsed over 12% of our routes, which represented 15 bus routes off the road, not because we didn't need them, but because we had to.
Sung Lee hopes to have completed his training and passed the required California Highway Patrol test before Thanksgiving, so he can surprise his daughter with a special pickup in his new school bus. MG Perez, KPBS News.
Check into your doctor's office or pharmacy, and there's a good chance you'll come across Filipino Americans. They make up a large number of frontline health workers across California. Kitty Alvarado has a closer look at the mental toil of the pandemic on this community.
Ed Naval from San Diego has been a nurse for 13 years, 6 in the ICU. He's a proud Filipino American who comes from a long line of healthcare workers.
Helping and healing the sick was something that I've always wanted to do. It was something that my mom did, my mother-in-law did. It's kind of like ingrained in my genes.
But during the pandemic, his passion to serve others meant being exposed and possibly exposing his family to a virus that could kill.
We were scared. I was scared. I literally told my family, you know what, I might not be able to come back healthy, or, we did what a lot of people were doing. We were sleeping in separate rooms. I slept in the garage for a month, not knowing what would happen. My kids were like, they were afraid that dad might not come back or dad might die.
A study done by the OLSON Center for Filipino Studies finds those feelings are not uncommon and have led to anxiety and depression for 1 in 4 Filipino Americans during the pandemic. 18% of nurses in California are Filipino, and 1 in 3 are frontline workers. Dr. Robin Rodriguez, the director of the OLSON Center, says their study went beyond statistics.
But we knew that wasn't going to capture the story and the real, the human face of this impact of this pandemic. So that's why we complemented the survey with these focus group sessions, or what we called talk story, or in Filipino, kwentuhan sessions. And they're really, really just heart-wrenching.
Rodriguez says the story of one young woman living in a multi-generational household, something not uncommon in Filipino families, has stayed with her.
For our family, it's kind of like a wolf is at the door. I mean, that was really just striking, to say the wolf is at the door, this sense of danger. And then that, creating all sorts of anxiety and depression.
Rodriguez and Naval hope studies like these lead to more mental health resources for Filipino Americans who are disproportionately risking their lives for a living.
It took its toll, and that's part of the reason why a lot of the nurses did suffer some general anxiety, PTSD. So the biggest challenge now is just, what are we going to do about it?
Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
Those we have lost are remembered during the Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos, in a little over a week from now. KPBS reporter Alexandra Runhel visited Old Town, where remembrances are already taking shape.
Cheerful, happy, life of the party. She was everyone that she had spoke to. Loved her.
That's how Natalie Bishop hopes her grandmother, Celia Buenrostro, is remembered. Buenrostro was a longtime store owner of Celia's Dolls in Old Town. She died in August from COVID-19.
It was really hard, for all of us to come around here and visit the shop after knowing she wasn't going to be here.
Just weeks ago, Buenrostro was working at her shop, doing what she loved most, creating beautiful dolls. Now, her picture adorns the Day of the Dead altar outside her shop.
Now her having her up there is just weird every day, just to see her and remember her that she's not here and that she's up there or she's in her presence or in the pictures.
Although their family is still grieving, Bishop says they've been celebrating Buenrostro's life and the legacy she leaves behind. It's exactly what Victor Santana hopes people will embrace when they visit the altar at Old Town Market.
We commemorate those that worked with us at some point or family members of people that work here today.
He framed pictures of his father and his grandparents. People who visit the altar may recognize prominent San Diegans that are no longer with us, and Mexican celebrities who left their mark on the world. Santana explains the meaning of leaving an offering or ofrenda on the altar.
You will put a photograph of somebody that died that you held really near and dear to yourself, and then you would probably add some items that you remember them by. For example, what they like to drink, what they like to eat, maybe a piece of clothing.
Old Town Market will hold a special celebration on November 2nd to honor the dead. For more on how you can participate in the community altars taking place across San Diego, visit our website at kpbs.org. Alexandra Rangel, KPBS News.
We hope that you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Thanks for joining us.